Mariners fans are a specific breed who handle and manage disappointment with grace.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tip my hat to you, sir. Every year, yeah.
Every year.
Cause last year, y'all didn't. I think I made the playoffs last year the first time, like in 20 years or something.
It was a couple of years ago. We made the playoffs. Cal Raleigh hit a bottom of the ninth home run, and it was. I'll replay the moment for you in a sense, in that it's down to the last pitch, basically. Cal Raleigh hits a home run, wins the game for the Mariners. I turned to somebody who was standing next to me watching the game, who I'd met just earlier in the evening, and we held each other and wept. We wept openly. Okay. So yes, they haven't made the playoffs in many, many, many
Yeah,
years. They made the playoffs, and then that playoff hope failed. This year, we'll see what happens.
yeah.
Like I said,
Y'all are a dedicated fan
we are a
base.
dedicated fan base.
Yeah, one thing like I can't watch baseball on the TV, but I love it on I go at least 4 or 5 Mariners games a year.
That's awesome.
I just like atmosphere, just places like what half a mile walk from here too,
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy from here.
and there's
Absolutely.
like a day game at 1 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really great. I'm sure we'll go to a game sometime. I love seeing the games live. It's great.
So next, your book talks a lot about focus. My question is, can you be focused on more than one thing?
I think it's possible to be. I think the idea of multitasking is overrated. I think that multitasking is not as effective as people think it is. So yes, it's absolutely possible, and it needs to be, right? I mean, I'm not just about the podcast today. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself, okay, later on tonight, I'm gonna have, see my friend, we'll have dinner, go to the game, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean that I'm focusing on that specifically, but we have different initiatives that come in and leave our focus, come into our priority and leave our priority throughout the day. The question is, though, can we keep our eye on one that is the most mission critical in front of us, even for an extra second or two, an extra minute or two, an extra hour if need be, in order to get that thing accomplished, to have that thing, whatever it might be, seen through to completion or seen through to its next extra step, so that we push the pawn forward a little bit, to use a chess metaphor. Because if we don't, we end up getting distracted and not moving any pieces at all because we're going in so many directions at once. I think it's possible as a decision and choice making creature, again, relatively unique to the animal kingdom, to rationally think about the choices ahead of us and make them accordingly so that we build a better future through building better now.
So I'm guessing this has to do with focus. Also, there's a chapter in your book titled "Keep Your Eye on the Knife."
Yeah, it's totally about focus. It's a juggling metaphor. And basically, what I'm saying to folks is if you've got two beanbags and a knife and you're juggling, you get it. We're going to keep your focus,
Yeah.
right? You're going to keep your eyes on the knife. Exactly. So, with that said, it's so important to keep our eyes on the knife and making sure that the thing that is going to impact us the most, if it falls or fails, that thing is where our focus is. So again, the chapters in the book, keep your eyes on the knife, leap into the dark, which is a chapter about stepping into the unknown and embracing essentially the possibility that you might succeed. All of these chapters are about ways to sure focus, but also to perform effectively so that we can create opportunities and possibilities for ourselves.
Also, I found somewhere where you talk about creating a space. Can you talk about that? Creating space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned it a few times that we create space for possibility when we carve out distractions, when we work in relationship with other people, when we work together as a team, when we communicate more effectively, when we are better leaders and essentially, guides for other people's experiences, we create space for possibility in others and create space for ourselves. Really, ultimately, I think life is better lived when we have the space to do and experience the things that we want to do.
So, who are your mentors?
That's a great question. My gosh, John Wilson, who I mentioned before, John Wilson, absolutely top of the list. John is again, I mentioned before, he's the genius you've never heard of. He's he's brilliant, and he is a local guy here, former professor at Cornish College of the Arts. And John, if he heard me talking about him being a mentor, he'd be very upset with me. He always corrects me and says, "We're friends. You're not, my mentee." But he really is. I think that he's taught me a lot. His perspectives have been invaluable in shaping the way I think about things. And I also have mentors who are long dead, meaning Ernest Becker, the cultural anthropologist I spoke about writing about, is a mentor in a way too, and he hasn't been alive in 50 years. So his work is a guide. The way he thought was a guide for me. The way he thought about the role of the individual in society and what our desires are and why we do the things we do and why we're so inclined towards war and destruction. Why is it that we are who we are? fascinating. There's a mentorship relationship there, even though he's been dead since essentially right around the time I was born. So
So next part of the question, to me, the most important part, who are you mentoring right now?
that's an amazing question. You got the slam dunk questions today. This
Thank
is great. So I mentor in a non-official way speakers and presenters who have questions about their presentations. So for example, a friend of mine in New York had some questions this last week when I was there about some video content that he wanted to make that was going to be very funny. And he had some funny ideas and he's got a legacy of being funny. But he had some questions about punching up the punchlines essentially of his videos. So that was a situation where I thought, okay, listen, let me come to you from the perspective of years on stage from one side of things, not from the video side of things, and see if my expertise maybe can help. That was an example. I mean, that's more friends working together. But I'm often talking to other speakers and people who are coming up in the industry who maybe don't have the stage time that I have, or they don't have a book, that sort of thing. I'm talking to people often about book ideas or talking to them about stage experience that they want to have and helping them so that they can grow into who they want to be. I mean, I also, of course, have clients and I'm coaching people at times on different things and doing those sorts of that having that relationship with people. But the mentee thing I see almost more on the friend side in a
yeah,
way where you're really kind of being somebody's guide, if
yeah.
that makes sense.
So here's something that's weird about me too. At least I think it's weird, right? So I can get in front of people, talk whatever, like the MC, whatever, no problem. But like I cannot practice in front of anyone, right? Like if you said like suppose you I told hey Greg, I'm doing a speech tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hey Jason, want to go? Like no, I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
My wife, kids, I cannot rehearse it for anyone. I just